Hi, Shal. And hello to all you other wonderful weirdos watching. Yes, I'm still ill. And I felt better, then worse. And yesterday I felt a little worse. Today I'm feeling okay. I was just waiting for my voice to return properly. Feels very weird. But it's fine. Just gonna do a quick one. Or at least I'm gonna attempt to do a quick one. But yeah. This week I read Last Rung on the Ladder, which is not one of Stephen King's horror short stories, but it is an effective story. It's basically a man who receives a postcard after he and his dad got back from LA, and there was a paragraph that just felt like him talking about his sister being beautiful, and it just felt a bit very weird. There was also followed by a paragraph of him bragging that he is one of the top lawyers, blah de blah, don't care. And then we flash back to childhood where he was 10, his sister was 8, they lived on a farm, and they had this one place where after all their chores they would go into the barn, which was nice and warm. And then there was this daring thing where they would climb a ladder to, I think it was third story, 30 stories up, and then just like shuffle across a beam and then jump off into this giant stack of hay. And that's how they just dared each other to do. And they continued to do that. And that was their activity that they liked to do when they didn't have anything else to do. And they kept doing it over to the point where one time, the very last time, they kind of just agreed, right, it's getting on, we need to clean up before the father gets back, because they live in a time where it's normal to beat their children. Yeah, so honestly, when I say it's not scary, I think the true horror of this entire story is people thinking it's okay to beat their children when they do something wrong. Yeah. So, before their father gets back, they just agree one more turn each. He goes first and he kind of notices the ladder is a bit not so stable, because he figured that out the first time he climbed, but he soon forgot about it because they were having so much fun. And now on the very last turn, yeah, that he could hear the nails in that ladder really squeak and pull against the weight. So because he was so high up, when he realised he couldn't turn back, he had to quickly get to the beam. And then for some reason he didn't shout down to get his sister Kitty to not climb the ladder. He just went straight to the hay, even though every single time he emerges from the hay, she's already halfway up the ladder. So already, Larry's a bit of a dumbass for not shouting the thing down. It's already stated they can hear each other because they got high down there, high up there. They already just say hi to each other when they're up there. It's already stated that they can hear each other. So why didn't he say that ladder's not sturdy enough anymore? Instead of when he comes out of the hay, he's saying it as she's up the ladder. Oh, not that it matters, but because she's just like, oh, I'm light enough, it'll hold me. And she's literally about, her hands are on the last rung of the ladder when the whole thing gives in. This whole scene of the ladder hitting the floor was like jaw dropping, and just like, it was very tense, that bit. And then you realise she is still hanging there. She is hanging on for dear life to the last rung of the ladder, hence the name, basically. And he tells her, stop thrashing, just hang there, because otherwise either she'll loosen her grip or the nails in the last rung will give in. And so he's rushing to get hair and dump it where underneath her. So he's doing that to the point where he's got about chin height of him, and she starts thrashing again, and there's that thing commenting if she does that she's gonna miss the hair. And so he's like saying, stop thrashing, just drop, because she can feel it let go, like the ladder give in, she can feel it. And so she actually does it, she drops into the hay, and there's that heart stopping moment where he searches through the hay to find her with her eyes shut and believes she's dead till she opens her eyes. She's taken to the doctors to find that she's only got a broken ankle, so she's basically escaped. And so, I mean, we already knew that because she sent the postcard, but the question would be, how bad was that incident? And it wasn't actually too bad. She got off very easy with just a broken ankle, and when she got home she spent like about a month in a cast, which everybody signed, and yeah, once it came off, that was it, the incident was over. But the real issue becomes clear when, in the story of them growing up, he's in law school and he can't do anything about coming to help her when she's in need, because she was thinking of going to business school, but she won a beauty contest and married one of the judges. That marriage fell through very messily, and she asks him to come to her to help out. And because he's in law school, he can't spend 1 week away, because it's kind of the way the course is set up, that you can't really take a break without missing out on so much. And so he decides to stay in school, and she gets married again, moves to LA, I think, and she moves, and that marriage falls through again. And again, she asks him to come to her just because she needs help, and he doesn't, for whatever reason to do with his law firm being like he wants to move up, and that was the year that was going to happen if he stuck with it. And so the letters back and forth between them continued. He always wrote back to her until a certain time, and eventually it was Christmas and birthday cards, which his wife had to take over, like making sure they were sent, because he got a bit busy, and that meant, well, he wasn't going to remember after he got divorced. So even after his divorce, he kind of stopped sending his sister letters, and that's where the postcard comes in, because he's got a clipping of the article of her death. He thought the incident in the barn was over until she jumped from a building, and the article read, "Call girl swan dives to her death," because in the barn she would always swan dive with her arms out, and like a proper elegant swan dive off that beam into the hay. The whole thing becomes a call out on taking your professional life over your family that so heavily relies on like a bit of support here and there. Like, it doesn't just end at letters. You've got to actually step in and be there for your loved ones. And it kind of critiques how some people just don't make the time and instead stick to their professional life. Yeah, he kind of gets back from clearing out her flat with their dad, and turns out she lived in a nice flat. The landlady liked her, but by the time he gets home, there's all of these little. There's this letter waiting for him. I've been calling it a postcard. It's actually because he said this could have been summarized in a postcard, but it wasn't. It was in a letter. That's why I thought it was a postcard. But it's a letter, and it's he's commenting on the crossed out addresses because he always meant to write back to his sister Kitty and say that he's moved. This is his new address. But there's so many different addresses, forwarding addresses on that envelope, like accusations, because he's not actually bothered to let his sister know where he even lives. So there's that as well. And then there's the call out to what she said to him in the hospital, which, by the way, wow. But yeah, she and Larry and Kitty had this little conversation while he was visiting her in the hospital after the barn incident, and she was just like, "Oh my god, you put down hay," and he was just like, "You didn't know?" He's like, "No, I didn't. I didn't even look down. I didn't want to open my eyes. I just knew that you were doing something because you were my big brother and you were going to be there for me." Honestly, if I was 8 years old, I don't think I would have that faith in my own brother. That's the level of brotherly sister bond that they have. She's referencing that in this letter that's finally reached him. And it's just, I've been thinking about it a lot lately. And what I've decided is that it would have been better for me if the last rung had broken before you could put the hay down. Because her life kept falling in the downward spiral, she hasn't had her life go the way she's wanted it. And her brother wasn't there for her either. And in the last paragraph, he's also wishing that she just believed that she couldn't keep waiting, instead of the idea that she believed that he'd forgotten to respond, because that would alleviate the guilt he has in not responding and not being there for his sister when her life goes upside down. So her life hasn't been super great and has not had any support from the person who she always thought would actually be there for her. And so yeah, that was a very effective story, and it's also quite sad in terms of it's not about the barn incident, but it also is, because it's set Kitty up with the expectations of how life will be. She went through life thinking there will always be hay to land on, but there wasn't. And she had to go through life like that, thinking there is that safety. But time and time again, she did not get that safety of the hay to fall on. So, yeah, that was a very effective short story. And it isn't to do with your stereotypical horror, but more of the horror that we kind of just forget to reach out to those who mean a lot to us. And when they need it, we kind of refuse to be there for the sake of our own personal reasons. It's even though we say they're personal reasons, but they're more professional reasons. Even just the simple act of reaching out, phoning people up, or sending a letter here and there. We've got to spend the time to just go, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm there for you if you need to be, kind of thing. And it's just, so yeah, I did kind of enjoy this short story. The dad beating the Larry's ass was a bit horrific, because yeah, Larry got it whacked to the point where he couldn't sit down for a week, and then had to sit for a cushion for 2 extra weeks. Like, seriously, the dad could have just been cut out from the story and it would not make a difference, to be fair. But I suppose it could also be like, because it's also kind of connected, because when Larry is getting that beating, the dad is saying after every hit, you are to thank God your sister is alive. And yeah, that is pretty messed up. Yeah, effective. And oh boy, it really does make you think about your own priorities. That's this week's short story. Quite a tragic one. Yeah. Yeah, if you're noticing the obvious gap here, don't pay no mind to it. I'm just gathering 10 books to one side. No reason. It's fine. Anyways, bye, Shal. And bye to all you other wonderful weirdos watching. And hopefully, next video, I will actually have my voice back.